In 14 hours, the Federal Reserve is going to be announcing the next FOMC rate decision. What's going on, team? It's Ricky with TechBit Solutions, and this is your final reminder that tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, they're going to be releasing or having the FOMC meeting. I will be live streaming this for free on my YouTube channel, and if you plan to tune on in, please make sure you drop a thumbs up and make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. I just want to make sure that enough people show up to this live stream. So without further ado, let's go ahead and recap the overall day. One of the things that I talked about in today's earlier video is I actually made a video when SQQQ was approaching previous highs, right? And I was talking about reducing my position size. Thankfully, I did, right? Because SQQQ nearly gave back. I mean, it was up almost 3% on the day, and it ended 0.75% in the green. So it gave back, pretty much 2%. As it began to sell off, I made sure that I reduced my position size when I saw there to be, no progress. Was my exit perfect? No, because if you go back to that video, I was up about 15K and I ended the day at 13.9K. So pretty much 14K. So I gave back $1,000. But guess what? I didn't give it all back. And I think that's what's most important. I was able to quickly reduce my position size when I began to see lack of progress. And I actually announced it to my LPP team when I saw this lack of progress, because lack of progress with an open position is a position that's open to risk. How many of you have left a position open hoping to make a couple extra bucks for some apparent reason, and then instead of it going up when it's obviously showing signs of a resistance, it then begins to pull on back, and then you end up regretting it, right? You're like, oh, I just want to sell back at where it was, but at that point it's already too late. And that's essentially what happened. So learning from my mistakes, I made sure when it was no longer showing signs of progress, I began reducing my position size. And yet again, it was not perfect. I still gave back $1,000 of what I already made, but I still stayed in the green, 13.9K in the green, right? And I think that's what my positive takeaway is from today. When it comes down to the Fed rate monitor tool, like we stated before, there's a 98% probability that the Federal Reserve is going to pause, meaning they're not going to raise interest rates according to this Fed rate monitor tool. For those that are unaware, what is an FOMC meeting? Again, it's going to be tomorrow, Wednesday, September 20th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I will be live streaming it for free on this YouTube channel, and here's what you need to know. So the Federal Reserve has been fighting inflation as it hit 40-year highs at 9.1%. They've been raising interest rates, making it more expensive for people like you and myself and businesses to borrow money. Now, why would they do this? Well, the Federal Reserve raises interest rates so it slows down the economy, because for people like you and I, just like mortgages right now, it's more expensive to borrow money. Therefore, it's less of an incentive to buy a house right now. So it encourages us to slow down and maybe not buy as much or spend as much as we would in a more, I would say, thriving economy, right? When interest rates are low is really when a lot of people begin to spend money because they can easily borrow at an affordable interest rate. Well, again, they have continued to raise rates and raise rates. According to the Jerome Powell, who is the head of the Federal Reserve, he stated in a Fed meeting that they have no intention for 2023 to cut rates. But they've already paused at least once when it comes down to these FOMC meetings. These FOMC meetings are where they decide if they're going to raise interest rates, pause, or actually cut interest rates. And according to that Fed rate monitor tool from investing.com, there's a 98% probability that the Federal Reserve is going to pause. Now, does this mean that if they do pause, the market's going to skyrocket? Markets are really confusing right now, and there's no reason to overcomplicate it. This is why I was okay with reducing my position size on SQQQ and staying cash. Just like I talked about in today's earlier video, one of the things that I'm doing to prepare is, instead of trying to predict, I'm staying cash, so I'm open to opportunity. 30 minutes after the FOMC rate decision is released, Jerome Powell is going to speak. Reminder, Jerome Powell is the head of the Federal Reserve. He's going to not only give his little speech, but he's also most likely going to answer questions from the series of reporters that are there. And depending on the views and how he expresses his message to those reporters and with what he says, will also determine how the market react. Feel free to do your own due diligence, but I have seen it many times that the market can react one way when the Fed rate decision is released, But by the time that he begins to speak and by the time he's done speaking, it has completely shifted the market. Again, it's a confusing time. Tomorrow is not necessarily a day for beginners. There's most likely going to be extreme volatility, things factored in advance, and quick changes of direction. It's a volatile day. So this is a day to be cautious, a day to be selective, and a day to be prepared. But guess what? We're going to be capturing it live for free on this YouTube channel, and you do not want to miss out. Again, I would love to have you for tomorrow's free FOMC live stream. Make sure you drop a thumbs up, get this video to over 1,000 likes, and I hope to see you again, but you do have to subscribe. YouTube will not notify you if you do not turn on your post notifications. And again, that is the little bell right next to the subscribe button. I really do appreciate you guys' time. I hope that we're into thumbs up. Please consider subscribing. And remember, tomorrow at Market Open, I will be hosting our live session for the LPP team. And that's the second link in the description down below if you want to be able to watch me trade live. I really do appreciate you guys' time. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.